Such a very special family. Did she have young kids just like you? Oh, no.
I'd like to invite you to the special meeting of the Human Services Commission of the City of West Hollywood, Tuesday, July 19th. In compliance with the American Disabilities Act of 1990, assisted listening devices, ALD, will be available for checkout at this meeting. If you require special assistance to participate in this meeting, an example, a signer for the hearing impaired, you must submit your request in writing or call the Department of Human Services and Rent Stabilization at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. The telephone number is on the agenda. The city TTD line for hearing impaired is also on there. Special meeting-related accommodations, an example, transportation, may be provided upon written request to the Department of Human Services and Rent Stabilization at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. For information on public transportation, please call 323-GO-METRO. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would Ruth lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Can I get a roll call, please?
Elizabeth Anderson. Sam Borelli.
Here.
Ruth Zislowski. Stephen L. Davis. Here. Barbara Meltzer.
Here.
Jimmy Palmieri.
Here.
Patrick Shandrick.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to ask my colleagues, or I'm going to defer to Jeff Book for a second, if we would mind adding an adjournment motion to the agenda. I'm going to defer to Jeff Book.
We were going to ask that you adjourn in memory of Muriel Schoikett, who was a longtime member of West Hollywood Senior Advisory Board, also very active with the AFSCME retirees. She was a longtime labor activist, and West Hollywood Beverly Hills Democratic Club, longtime board member and local stalwart. Passed away this week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To my colleagues, is that okay by? Thank you very much. Can I get an approval of the agenda, including the adjournment?
Approve.
Second?
Second, yeah. Did somebody approve it? Oh.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we will now, I don't think we have any public comment. If I'm wrong, please tell me. All right, everything is on 3A. There's no items on our consent calendar. Unfinished business, commission recommendations for social services, funding 2016-2019. The Human Services Commission will make recommendations for social service programs for the period of October 1st, 2016 to September 30th, 2017. I'm going to defer to Elizabeth.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. The staff report in the packet is revised and public copies are available there. We changed the recommendations section to have one recommendation. So I wanted to mention to you that we've been working very hard to make sure that the Commission is in the bailiwick of the budgeted allocation and that any additional ideas and analyses are in the background portion. So that's what we did when we changed the report. The targeted funds of $100,000 have been identified in the city's overall budget and will be proposed to the City Council when this is brought forward to them for additional treatment services and programming to provide mental health support for homeless community members. That is the bailiwick of the City Council. I want to thank you all for your work, the community for its presence and ongoing support of the city's community, city's a special place. The $4.5 million budgeted is an augmentation, it's general fund money, to the baseline of services provided by county, state, and other sources. And it is a privilege that we get to do this to care with a high quality level for West Hollywood community members, especially those with the most need. So your job here is meaningful, important, and I appreciate that, and all the work of staff and the whole collaboration that happens between us all. So now we'll pass the communication microphone over to David Juney.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm David Juney, the manager of the Social Services Division for the city. I did want to mention before I start a few housekeeping items. Just a reminder to folks in the public, this is a televised meeting. If you come to the podium at any point to speak, please be aware of that. If you're speaking about services and your targeted clients, please be mindful of keeping your clients' information confidential. Also, just wanted to remind folks that there is a validation machine at the back of the room. So if you parked in the 5-story public parking lot, please validate the parking is free. And so this evening, as you know, the Human Services Commission will be reviewing staff's recommendations for social services contracts and finalizing those recommendations in preparation for them to go to the City Council at their meeting on September 19th. I did just prepare a few slides, and these are in your packet, but I wanted to have them available for the audience. So if we could have there we go. And then I just went to the wrong one. Yeah, let's do the PDF. It's a little difficult to see, but I just wanted to review, as our department director mentioned, we have allocated $4,512,324. We received in requests a total of $435,135. So nearly double the amount of funds available. We were able to make recommendations that comprehensively addressed the initiatives and reports that were highlighted in the RFP document. We were able to make recommendations that came within the budgeted $4.5 million. And just a reminder and explanation, we had set aside, out of that $4.5 million, $75,000 to be available in urgent funds. That was the kind of the cap of what we would allow. We did get requests for over the $75,000, but in our recommendations, we proposed that a total of $67,630 would be designated as urgent funds. So you don't have to go up to the $75,000, but it's available. And then know that, that remainder is included in the dollars for the recommendations. So, and then one other item I wanted to bring back is that we do have the availability of community development block grant funds, the CDBG dollars, and we are recommending that those supplement the recommendation for the contract for homeless services with Essentia. So that would take Essentia's, this is general fund dollars, the $308,945, and then you can add, and I had it in front of me, but no longer, the $33,112 to that for the total recommendation. So this is the recommendations that came in within the budgeted amount, and then for point of reference for the community and for the commission, we then group them according to the contract, according to the actual, how they addressed the initiatives. So we wanted to see just kind of the proportion of the dollars according to these initiatives. And as you see, and I'm sorry, it's a little difficult for the public to see, but for the first initiative, Aging in Place, with the contracts, and these are what we did is we took the contracts where their primary service fell under this initiative, because many of our contracted agencies serve many different priority populations, but we put them according to what their primary service went to. So you'll see that with the 3 contracts we've recommended under Aging in Place, it comes to a total of $997,103. With food and nutrition, the total comes to $584,706. To address the HIV Zero Transmission Initiative, a total of $1,065,635. For homeless services, $455,588. And then priority populations, so this is, it looks a little bit kind of a sundry assorted agencies here, but we've got services that serve our transgender community. We have services that serve our low-income women and women who are head of households with family. We have the LGBT community in here, children and families. So these specifically serve the priority populations, and a total recommended contract dollars of $1,079,135. Substance abuse treatment, with a pool of funds, and then the specific dollar amounts for Friends outpatient programming in McIntyre House, total of $330,157. That brings us to the budgeted amount, $4.5 million. And then also, just to get the point of reference, to show you where the new contracts that we have recommended, where they fall with this, is you've got Westside Center for Independent Living, falling under the Aging in Place initiative, and we are well aware that also serves a special population of our community members living with disabilities. We then have Men's Health Foundation, which addresses our HIV zero transmission initiative. We have Essentia, addressing homeless services, and we have Planned Parenthood under the priority populations. Just wanted to give you a little bit of frame of reference and how we allocated the funds. We have, as you know, for the commissioners who've been here for quite some time, and the new folks, the city, we became a city in 1984 at the height of the AIDS crisis, and the grant funding started at that point. It was priority to give grants to nonprofits who are addressing HIV and AIDS prevention and treatment. So at that time, it kind of set the precedent. And since then, there has been kind of an unspoken policy that we have dedicated approximately 30% of the total grant dollars available to HIV prevention. In recent years, we have expanded that to HIV and substance abuse prevention. As we all know, that substance abuse treatment and prevention is HIV prevention. So if you took that total from the HIV zero, the $1,065,635, and then you combine it with the substance abuse treatment, the $330,157, and you figure out your percentage as to the total, and it comes to 30%, slightly under a third. So we're remaining in that, close to how the city has, traditionally dedicated the funds. So I just wanted to offer this as a point of reference to kind of give a little bit more background to how we make the recommendations, and then to allow you to, think about that as you consider these. So thank you for that. Those are our presentations, and we'll let you continue with your process.
Sure. Hi, good evening. I'm Vice Chair Barbara Meltzer, and I'll be taking over for about 5 minutes. We will be voting on the Saban community.
Madam Chair, before you proceed,
Yes.
now would be a good time to do the public comment before this item,
Is there a public comment?
and then you can proceed with discussion by the
I'm
commission.
not proceeding.
We will start with public comment. Natalie Camero. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Natalie Profont-Kumuro, and I'm the Executive Director of Essentia. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to say thank you. The staff was so great at introducing us to your community, to the City of West Hollywood, and we're really looking forward to the opportunity to get to know you much better. I did want to point out that we are going to be updating our website, so if folks have some recommendations on how we might better serve the community via our website, please let me know, and that would be at essenciaca.org or through our Facebook page. Again, thank you so much for this opportunity. We're looking forward to serving the City of West Hollywood, and hopefully September will be here very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Harden from McIntyre House.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. I just wanted to say thank you
Brian,
so much.
can you give your name, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you give your name, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. My name is Brian Harden. I'm the Executive Director of McIntyre House. Thank you. This is an arduous process, clearly, for you to get the 41 proposals, and various copies and everything that you guys have to sift through. I admire your work ethic and dedication. We don't do this alone, and we can't do what we do without you. So I thank you for taking the time to look at all of us, but in this case, particularly McIntyre House, and support us in what we try to do. I was thinking, since we've been involved with this for the last couple of weeks very intensely, the last 3 weeks, we've had 5 West Hollywood community members that I know of that have approached the House either by phone or coming in to interview for an intake or whatnot. And it's just interesting because when someone's on the other end of the phone call and they're hurting and you hear it and they're scared and they're looking for hope, it's a very humbling position to find oneself in. I tend to take the majority of those calls, and then when they come in, our program director, Gary Seiden, takes over from there. But to be able to encourage somebody that there is hope and that there is a safe place that they can come and that it can be different is again, humbling, but it's also hopeful. Now, out of those 5, we got one in Monday. We were able to make a very quick transition into the House from last, I believe, Wednesday to Monday. Another one has to go to detox before we can take them. It would be dangerous to bring them in without that. So we hope, we have our fingers crossed, that will work out and that they will come to us right after detox. Someone else is mulling it over, and someone I said, well, it doesn't sound like you really have an addiction that's life-endangering at this point. Go to a meeting first. Try that. We're here for you. If you think you need more, come to us. And then someone else we did not hear back from. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that little vignette of this is what is happening real time right now. And these are the people that your hard work supports, and I thank all of you. And I thank the staff. This is my second cycle of doing this, so David and Corey and Leslie and Derek, you guys are tremendous. Elizabeth, I only see you here, but thank you for heading all this up, and thank you all for what you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Robert Baller from Project Angel Food.
Good evening, Commissioners, staff, and public. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I just wanted to...
Robert, can you say your name, please?
Oh, yes. My name is Robert Bowler, from Director of Programs at Project Angel Food. Project Angel Food has been around for 27 years. We started here in the city of West Hollywood. Our mission is, of course, to help those who are fighting both hunger and illness. And although we started initially fighting the AIDS crisis, we've now moved on 12 years now. We've been helping those with other life-threatening illnesses. And as a nonprofit, we, of course, believe in helping others, and we send love and compassion and care and nourishment, but we also send science because our program is all about our collaboration between our registered dietitians and doctors and providing medically tailored meals for our clients. So our meals are designed to complement their medical treatments. So I think it's important that you understand that that's kind of our niche that we've filled in. And as a agency that fights hunger, we certainly can't do it all. So we have learned to be really well connected with the other agencies and programs that are fighting hunger. And we often refer back and forth. But none of us can do it all, and we realize that resources are slim, so we appreciate any help you can give us, but also understand that hunger is an issue throughout, and not everyone, we cannot help everyone, so I hope you can find it in your heart to fund all food programs. Also, just wanted to point out that the reason we asked for an increase in this funding cycle was largely as a result of a survey, our client survey that we did this past winter. And in that survey, one of the questions we asked was, do we provide too much food, just about the right amount of food, or not enough food? And county-wide, it was about 20% of our clients said we did not provide enough food. But here in the city of West Hollywood, it was over 40%. So we feel that there's a real issue going on in West Hollywood. We're not sure why that was, but we have begun to address that issue amongst our clients. But we do hope you can support us with our project to increase their food intake to these clients. So thank you very much for your time.
Catherine Friedman, Project Chicken Soup, I'm sorry.
Good evening again. I'm Catherine Friedman, Executive Director of Project Chicken Soup. I just have some brief comments. I think you all know what Project Chicken Soup does. We prepare and deliver nutritious and delicious meals to people living with HIV and AIDS and other serious illnesses. I just wanted to share, you may already know this, so forgive me if this is redundant. Late yesterday afternoon, David, social services staff, sent me an email asking me a question about why on our application do we ask clients if they have any special dietary requirements. So the answer to that is because we tailor meals to meet clients' special dietary needs. 20% of our clients require special meals, and we do that for them. I have just a couple of letters that clients sent to me. They weren't able to come today, so they asked me to read this to you. One is from a client that receives 2 meal programs. I have been living with HIV for 30 plus years. I attribute this, among other habits, to good nutrition. I've been supplementing my regular diet with meals from Project Angel Food for over 20 years and from Project Chicken Soup for nearly 5 years. Both sources are equally appreciated, and I would be at a loss without them. I benefit both nutritionally and financially from these sources. And the next one is from one of our clients who only receives Project Chicken Soup. And he says, glasses, as a resident of West Hollywood and a man living with HIV, the service provided by Project Chicken Soup is a lifesaver. The overall quality and nutritional value of their meals is unmatched. I am beyond grateful for their service, and I hope it will continue. So I just want to say I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak with you today. I really appreciate the time that you invest and the work that you all are doing to ensure that critical needs are being met. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Warren, St. Thomas the Apostle.
I'm Joseph Warren, St. Thomas. I brought the good cop with me, or the bad cop, depending on your... I wanted to talk about a couple more of our little things that I couldn't get in last week, and one is a new program that we have called Operation Soul. This is a program that's designed to give out socks and also have a regular foot washing event. And some of our parishioners ask, and you might wonder, why are we so focused on the feet and not the whole wardrobe? And the answer is when someone doesn't change his clothes often, his feet are most at risk. Socks that remain wet can create an environment for fungus that can lead to infection. When the person's diabetic, that can lead to an amputation. And all this can be avoided with a change of socks. And so that's why we are very heavy on that program. And the other thing, since last week, we've confirmed the date for the eye care in the prescription program. That's going to be in the morning of September the 10th. And being that other organizations commented last week about how our abilities to secure such an event that others have tried, I think shows that we are innovative and evolving. The food part of our program is the proverbial carrot. The essence of what we do is the humanization of those society often overlooks. I want to thank you for your service, your contributions, and your consideration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian Risley, Men's Health Foundation.
Good evening. I'm Brian Risley. I'm the program director at the Men's Health Foundation. And nice to see everybody again. I spoke last week advocating for full funding regarding the recommendation from the City of West Hollywood Social Services. So I spoke with Dr. Tony Mills, our executive director, and we just wanted to compose a little message to thank you, to personally thank the Human Services Commission for the confidence you've placed in us by recommending the Men's Health Foundation for this important funding. We're both honored and humbled, and we're fully committed to making the best use of this precious resource to better serve those who live in our city. Providing the highest level of HIV care and prevention services is an integral part of our mission. By fully supporting our work in establishing red carpet service for PrEP, your funding will allow us to make important strides in our community-wide goal of getting to zero new HIV infections. So we're grateful for the funding recommendation, but there's still important work to be done. The PROUD study that was done last year in the UK found that in a community very similar to West Hollywood, treating only 13 patients with PrEP would prevent one new HIV infection every year. So the data is overwhelming. Every dollar you can allocate to fund PrEP services will have a profound impact on the community that we all love and serve. So thank you for the important work that you do, for your faith in our organization, and thank you for the many lives who will be forever changed by your strong support of biomedical HIV prevention. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this point, I have to recuse myself, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to Vice Chair Meltzer.
There will be 3 this evening, recuses, is that the word? We're going to address the Saban Community Clinic. Is there a motion from a commissioner to approve staff's recommendation for funding for the Saban Community Clinic?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? No discussion? The motion passes.
Go ahead and call for a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I not do that? Oh, everybody just, nobody said, okay. Are there any ayes, please? Aye?
Aye.
Any no? Abstention? Motion passes. Okay. Or we can just move on.
Steve can do it.
Oh, what?
Thank you.
Before we do that, okay. I forgot to get this. What about? What? Okay. That was fast.
Okay, so I'm going to need some direction. This is now open and we're discussing, or do I have to make a motion on this particular provider? Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation for the Men's Health Foundation. Can I get a motion and a second? Okay.
Second.
Okay, so open for discussion. All those in favor of this?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Open for discussion? Nothing? I'm imagining this passes also. Can we get Commissioner Davis back?
I believe you have one more recusal.
Yes. So the next provider will be JVS, I can't read this, West. Okay. And the same procedure? Okay. I don't think we've ever had this many recusals. Okay, so I'd like to, can I get a motion to accept staff's recommendation for the West program?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that's accepted also. Can we get Commissioner Borelli? Now I'll be opening this up again for discussion for the entire recommendation.
The remaining slate of recommendations.
Okay. Is everybody's...
I make a motion that we accept staff's recommendations.
Can I get a second? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Wait, don't we have to, okay.
I did it just for discussion
All right. Okay. So at this point, I'd like to defer to Jeff. We need to bring up anything that is questioned or that any commissioner wants to maybe make a change on.
So you have a motion on the floor, and any commissioner can bring up any additional questions or issues, make suggested changes. That's what you should do now.
Okay, so I'd like to try to keep some semblance to this. So is it okay by my colleagues if we go in some type of order so that I can hear both sides? Yes? Okay. Elizabeth, do you have anything that you would like to bring up?
I don't. I encourage the commission to accept the staff recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
I'm in agreement with staff recommendations.
Surprise, I am also in agreement with staff recommendations. I think this was it's a full moon, yes, thank you, all right.
I'm shocked. I was ready to put my iPod on. Ruth, would you like to go? Barbara will go second to last. Sam, do you want to go?
No, I'm in agreement with staff recommendation. While there are challenges and there's some things I would like to see a little bit differently, I think the staff did an extraordinary job in taking these funds, whittling them down to where the needs are most important, and answering some of the questions that we had leading into this. So I am in agreement with staff recommendation.
Thank you. Ruth? Okay.
All right. I actually have a first question, which is Aid for AIDS. I had asked earlier about the comment from the speaker from Aid for AIDS regarding the gap in funding, and I was wondering if you'd gotten an answer.
We did have contact with Aid for AIDS. This was specifically in regard to the public comment that came up as far as because our recommendation is less than what was requested. This is specifically for the housing case manager position, and there was what was expressed by staff was that they needed an additional about $8,100 to make that a viable request. We did contact them. I don't know if Derek could share a little bit.
Sure. So that additional $8,000 was to put towards a housing case manager. Although, you know, some of what is allocated right now in staff's recommendations can go to housing case management. It won't go to a particular position, but there's already, from my understanding, and speaking to Alliance staff, was that there are 5 employees at the Alliance who take care of the reimbursements, the rental assistance, who would be able to assist community members.
But then my follow-up question is, what purpose will they use for the additional funding that you recommended if it's not going to go towards staffing, increased staffing?
Because we do want to support the housing case management piece, and we want to see if we can dedicate a certain amount of time, a part of a position that would be dedicated to serving West Hollywood. So we would work with them first to review, their staffing and see if there is a need to bring it, additional funding for a part of a position to dedicate for West Hollywood. This is a little bit different than how we have funded, Aid for AIDS previously. Basically, what we have done is a little bit of a pass-through. We've given them exactly the amount that they then distribute to community members for rental assistance and the pharmacy program. So this is acknowledging, for one thing, that there are administrative costs and that we would want to support the housing case management piece. So we'll look with them and see how that can be targeted to personnel costs.
Thank you for that. And then I wanted to follow up regarding the comments from Being Alive last week, where they had expressed some challenges with the funded amount recommended, and if you'd had a chance to follow up with them on that.
So we did not make contact with them between last week and this week. But I wanted to reiterate, and this is something that we'll work with the agency, obviously, and staff. In their proposal, what we wanted to support is their mental health services. Being Alive this is a relatively new service category for them, that, direct mental health with clinicians, clinical interns. So they're working with the local, universities that provide interns to provide individual and group therapy. We wanted our recommendation also much less than what they requested, but we felt it was important to support because they continue to expand that program, and that program, they're structuring it different than some of our other agencies. They're not putting a limit on the number of sessions that people can participate in. It's ongoing if needed. So they've been, they are also kind of at the mercy of the schools, but they've been really good with as far as short waiting lists. We wanted to support it, and the way we wanted to support it was to put additional funding towards the clinical supervisor. Those interns have to receive supervision. They have a supervisor that is a staff position, and then they have a consultant that also provides clinical supervision. We realize it's not enough to fund a position, and I think what was referenced under public comment is it's not enough, and we've got to pay attention to benefits and everything that goes with the position. So there was a comment, it's almost a net decrease if that was going there. We recommend it goes to the consultant, clinical supervisor, so they won't have those additional expenses. So we will work with, I apologize that we weren't able to contact in between, but we will work with staff to make sure that those dollars are able to support that program.
All right. My last question, or actually a comment, is regarding the sentiment that has been expressed around Project Chicken Soup that's occurred, and I think I can't speak for my other commissioners, but I do believe that there's validity to the services that Project Chicken Soup has brought to the community, and I'm curious to know if the staff has any suggestions as to how, even if they aren't funded through this funding process, there's ways to support them moving forward.
So thank you for this opportunity, because of course there's been community support for this program. It's very well thought of. We know that, and the services were very well thought of. So it's a tough, it's a very tough, as they all are, recommendation. What we focused on after the last meeting, which had the public hearing, is really what was identified by the public and also by the staff was, the quality of the service, the fact that they provide hot meals, and the fact that their support, they do great, provide great follow-up support, and it's engaging, and it's kind of that emotional support piece that we look for with many of our agencies, but they seem to be very successful with that. So what we did following that was we did go to our currently contracted providers and the providers that we've recommended, Angel Food and JFS, and said, we asked them point blank, is there an opportunity to provide hot meals, and talk to us about the follow-up that you provide. What does that look like? Give us, an explanation that we can bring back. So I'm going to ask Leslie, who talks, she oversees JFS contract, and Derek, who oversees Angel Food, to share the answers about hot meals and then what the support is that they provide.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. So I did pose those questions to Jewish Family Services Nutrition Program, and they do have the capacity to provide hot meals on occasion. Weekly would maybe be possible, but occasionally is more doable the way the program is structured right now. With regard to follow-up to the folks who do receive home-delivered meals, the drivers who are also the people who deliver the meals to the individual clients check in weekly with the clients, and they check in weekly, engage them in conversation, and in the process of doing that, look for, any possible deterioration in physical health, mental health, the state of their apartment, or home. They'll even do a survey of the contents of their refrigerator to see that food is being consumed and not piling up. And if there are things that are of concern to the staff member, they will then bring that information to the program manager, who will do further assessment and may refer or connect that client to the Comprehensive Services Center for some additional case management services, and anything else that might be needed. So those drivers who deliver the meals check in on a weekly basis. The program also has a volunteer who calls all the recipients of home-delivered meals on a monthly basis. Similar kind of idea. It's a check-in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Are there additional things you need at this time? And that, as I said, is an ongoing. They do that monthly on an ongoing basis. And then finally, the program has a home-delivered meals coordinator, and that person conducts in-home assessments twice a year. And look for, again, those same sorts of things I just mentioned, but really sit down with the client and do, almost like another intake kind of a process with, some questions and some understanding of how they're doing, what their current circumstances are, what may have changed. That's done twice yearly, and then 3 months after those assessments are done, the home delivered meals coordinator also makes follow-up phone calls. So there's a fair amount of contact with the clients who receive home delivered meals through JFS's nutrition program.
And I followed up with Project Angel Food, and because they already have congregate meal site at the Triangle Square Elder Housing, Angel Food has the capacity to prepare hot meals and deliver them to West Hollywood community members if they are requested. And they could deliver those hot meals once a week or twice monthly. And in addition to the capacity to provide hot meals, Angel Food is already providing fresh breakfast for community members if requested, which includes cereal, milk, cheese, fruit, and homemade granola. And in regards to support services, as Robert Bowler said earlier, that they prepare medically tailored meals. So a nutritionist during intake discusses dietary needs with clients and also does a follow-up twice per year. Now, if the client is undergoing chemotherapy or switching their medications, that follow-up is, the follow-up is more frequent depending on the client's situation. Now, Angel Food drivers are also, they're paid staff and they're not volunteers, and they check in with clients, and they're trained in suspected elder abuse. They're mandatory reporters. Angel Food staff trains the drivers on how to recognize neglect, and they follow up with clients and they follow up with staff if there does seem to be neglect. And then also clients receive phone calls from staff on their birthdays and also receive a birthday bag, and which includes hygiene and also other food items.
I just want to add just quickly one thing I neglected to mention with the nutrition program at Jewish Family Service. They provide meals to congregate sites, so that I think all of you know that Plummer Park is one site, and there's some, though a lower number of folks who go to the senior center on Fairfax. But they also provide hot meals to the congregate sites at West Knoll, Fairfax Towers, and Palm. So though that isn't, those congregate meals are in the buildings in which folks live. So I wanted to make that distinction because people don't have to travel for those meals like they do if they're going to the congregate meal site, say at Plummer Park.
So those were the tangible things that were brought up that, in conversation is, those were identified as gaps, and we wanted to see, and we had looked, throughout this, was there a gap that that we could recommend funding with chicken soup? And so we brought those and saw that, those are able, in their format, able to be met. We would certainly look to pull in staff of Project Chicken Soup to participate in our food and nutrition planning and coordination meetings. We would love to be able to collaborate more closely with them, to have them part of our collaborative agencies, for them to be able to share best practices with things, with how they do provide that support. We would look if they're willing to work with us closely. We certainly would look for that. We can have discussions down the road. I know that if there's other ways of support, I know that currently they have a kitchen facility that they're very happy with, but they was also mentioned that there wasn't a lease. If that's something that down the road, the city can support, and maybe support them through our other providers, if that's a possibility. We would like to have that kind of connection and commitment to working with them going forward. The funding that we've identified for the current provider, it's basically, an additional about $12,000 from what they currently receive. It's, much less than what Angel Food had, requested. We knew that if we recommended that for our current provider, who has the ability to provide medically tailored meals, has a registered dietitian, the nutritionist, and, can provide for our most, vulnerable and clients who still experience food insecurity, the best, for the dollar amount, because is to give that to that standing agency. It's $12,000. Hopefully, we'll work with them that it goes straight into service provision, to food costs and delivery, as opposed to, if we got into another contract, there's potentially administrative costs. And $12,000, frankly, is probably, we would all acknowledge, isn't enough to start a new and to properly support an agency. So we do look for, to strengthen the relationship. It sounds as though, and I know that Project Chicken Soup has a very good, strong relationship with our other providers, and we look to, bring them in with the city so we can look closer. They mentioned in their proposal, they've come to the city for, for help with space when they're having events. We'd certainly be happy to continue that and just strengthen our relationship in whatever support we can in the meantime. So it is a tough decision, but we are maintaining our recommendation.
Does that answer your question? Okay, Commissioner Borelli.
Thanks, and thanks for bringing that up. This is an area that I struggled with the most, as staff knows. Nutrition and food insecurity was probably the thing that popped in my brain the most from the community feedback from our advisory boards and commission members, and certainly from a number of folks who came out and spoke last week. So I would just, and I appreciate the staff's looking into this. Do the recipients of Project Angel Food know, and can we do an outreach, or can they do an outreach to say that hot meals can be provided if they're looking for something like that? Because it certainly seemed, at least from a couple of people last week, that they didn't actually know that they had hot meals available.
So yes, I mean, right now Project Angel Food doesn't deliver hot meals because clients actually prefer frozen meals because of their medical appointments or whether they're hospital stays. But Angel Food does have the capacity to provide hot meals, and they could start doing it if we requested it.
It would be client requested versus a specific outreach.
We plan, following council's approval of contracts, we plan on working very closely with our communications department to develop a piece we would like to really highlight, certainly all of our programs, but we want to develop a piece highlighting new and enhanced programs. So this is certainly one that we would bring to the attention. So we want to, as I said, work with them to do, whether it is a mailing, whether it's, it's probably going to be a combination of a mailing and online, but to do a very comprehensive outreach to all of the city on new and enhanced programming that comes from this process.
Thank you.
Do you have anything?
Yes, I approve staff's recommendations. However, I would just like to ask that someday soon, in some way, we can find a program to support family caregivers.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, this is only my second time doing this, and it's going swimmingly. Last time there was a little bit more discussion. I want to touch on, and follow up on Commissioner Borelli and Kozlowski's comments. Food insecurity and people not having enough or not knowing what is available is of utmost importance to me. I'm a certified chef educator, so of course food is extraordinarily important to me. That being said, also public comment and constituents speaking well of agencies are certainly taken into account. And then I have to think really hard on constituent dollars and how they're spent and how they're most wisely spent, and is there a gap, or are our current providers actually filling all of our needs? And I know for a fact that staff has gone through this with a fine-tooth comb, because I know that I had questions, I know other commissioners did, you answered them, and a lot of research was done. I certainly am so grateful that Project Chicken Soup is around. There's no doubt. I sincerely hope that Project Chicken Soup does want to form some type of collaboration with the city in an effort to at least let more people know, and I hope that staff wants to include them at the table and in the conversation. And but I truly have to support staff's recommendations on this budget and these providers. I think it was really well thought out. I read everything probably 5 times. Last time, there was a lot of things that I didn't agree with, but this time it was so unbelievably thought out. And I know not everyone is thrilled or happy, but I don't think everyone can be. I think we can do the best we can do with the dollars that we have, and I feel really secure that this commission has done due diligence as well as staff. I'm really, really happy with this. And I think we would like to have $10 million, but we don't. And I think we would like to give everybody what they request, but we can't. What we are able to give, every dollar is very well thought out by every member of staff and every commissioner here also. This is a long, arduous process, and trust me, sometimes it's not the easiest. But I support this fully, I truly do. So am I going to make a motion to approve this? So are we going to vote on this? Okay, the motion is already made. Can I get a vote on approving staff's recommendations for the funding? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you very, very much for this. And thank all of you for coming out. No new business. Okay, so there is no new business. There is nothing on the excluded consent. Are there any further items from staff?
Anything, Manager Jonas? I do just want to thank the commission for all of your hard work, and thank you so much to the chair and vice chair for your leadership. It is an arduous process. We had a lot of new members, and just is very much appreciated. I want to thank all of the applicants, because as we've seen in this process, we were able to bring on, new vital programming, look at our providers that have been here in different ways, look to them for, different services, which is really important to always review. And then, as we said, and I sincerely hope that we've got new partners with agencies such as Chicken Soup, but many of the agencies that were here that we will keep in our in our books, and we'll be calling in the future to assist. So it's so much appreciated. The City of West Hollywood and its vulnerable community members are very fortunate. Thank you.
Anything else from staff? Elizabeth? Nothing? Okay, I have no public comment slips. Anything? All right, I'm going to go down the row for items from commissioners, and we can start with Commissioner Borelli this time.
So what do we do with our box of our box of RFPs? There is a document shredding in West Hollywood on Saturday, if that is a good...
Folks, can you just keep it a little bit quiet while we continue the meeting?
You can leave them with staff. We can take them off your hands.
Okay. And there is a shredding document thing this weekend. If you prefer, I'm happy to take care of it. I'm going anyway.
If you're able to do that, we'll take you up on that. Otherwise, we will be shredding.
Thank you.
Are you through? Ruth?
As you're exiting, thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I was really impressed with the number of new applicants that came in and the caliber of, the services and programming that was offered. So I don't think that it was just the staff and the commission who was thoughtful. I think it was the agencies as well. I think they actually really paid attention to what the city was saying we needed, and the RFPs reflected that. My one editorial comment for next time, because I'm going to forget in 3 years, and I probably may not even be here in 3 years, I don't know, is that I noticed there was inconsistency in responses throughout the proposals. Like, we asked the same questions, but people some agencies answered them, some didn't, and it makes it, or they interpreted it a little differently, and so that inconsistency in responses is actually a little challenging when you're reading and trying to compare one proposal to another. So if we could try to ask the agencies during the, when you do the RFP bidders conference, maybe kind of review, even if they feel like they've done this for 15, 20 years, because those were actually the worst offenders, were the ones who'd done it for 15 or 20 years. So I noticed it and made it hard when I was really trying to compare apples to apples. So thanks.
Does it really have to be shredded? Because I mean, to me, all the information that we have has been very, very public. It's not that I have anything that's not like it's a secret. So I had already dropped or was planning on dropping mine into my recycling bin at the apartment building. So if that's a no-no, then please let me know.
Is there salary information in there and job position information in the draft budgets?
The draft budgets, there probably is. So
it's
yeah.
probably not final, but just for that, I mean, people can request it publicly if they want to. They can get the records here, but people do dumpster dive, and I'd hate to see something go the wrong place.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for that question.
I'll bring it with me the next time. All right, if that's allowed. And then on the inconsistencies, I actually wanted to bring this up during our 10-hour meeting, but because it was a 10-hour meeting, I didn't bring it up, and so I would agree with Ruth on this. Especially like the question that I was most interested in was like staff vacancies and how they planned on replacing each other or replacing staff in the first place, and some people understood the question and some questions were like off because they read it differently than what we were after, and then some people didn't answer it at all. So I would agree with Ruth that if we're going to ask specific questions, I would really like to see them hit it a little better, because then I would go like to the next agency and then I'm reading and then I would notice that they didn't even have a space for it. It would go from one item to the next. And in one agency has it, one agency doesn't answer it well, or et cetera. And then I just wanted to caution you not to believe that this is going to be the future of your life. You get lucky every once in a while. So just in case 3 years from now that this is a rougher, that you've been warned that it could be rougher. But I'm really quite pleased. I went, this was my prediction, was that it would be passed without much difficulty because it was so well thought out. So if you do this good a job next time, then maybe I don't have any room. Thank you.
I just want to thank all the citizens and advisory boards and other commissions that participated in this lengthy process. And you all were essential in really identifying need, and definitely your voices have been heard. I want to give a shout out to staff and my fellow commissioners for all your dedication and thoughtfulness and late nights. And most importantly, to the nonprofit agencies, you really did make it difficult. You provide such great service and address such needs. So that that definitely was a challenge, and I thank you for all your care and commitment to the city of West Hollywood. I really think we did our due diligence and determined where funds would have the biggest impact and how spending could be used most effectively and how to best empower those in needs. And I think we struck a good balance of funding existing established agencies that have a great track record providing service here in the city, as well as bringing on new partners, new nonprofits that can bring innovative ideas and methods of service to the city. So just know that this commission will work to ensure that all our nonprofit partners deliver on their promises to our community and help those in need. Thank you very much.
Elizabeth?
Thank you, and applauding staff for your good work and the commission for its due diligence and thoroughness. And I also want to thank, like my fellow commissioner said, the nonprofits for responding to the community needs, which were expressed over reports, over priorities, over agenda setting, and through the work that staff did to help consolidate the perspectives of the community into workable, measurable needs that you could respond to. So thank you for your thoroughness and appreciated this process.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that this was a very difficult and challenging process, but I found it exhilarating in many ways. I learned so much. I learned about, obviously, the new providers and many of our current providers by reading those incredible proposals and by spending a lot of time asking questions of this amazing staff. No matter what they were doing, they were patient, they stopped doing it, they answered probably the same questions over and over again. But thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
I just have a couple of things. There were several things of question that came up, and maybe hopefully you'll be addressing them. And they were about demographics that may have not been identified. And I just want to say that possibly in the next year or so, that you'll be able to identify, and I believe it was Middle Eastern and Persian. We don't have numbers on them. We don't know how to particularly service them at this point. That would be a great thing. I have to also agree with my vice chair, if there is a possible way to identify caregivers. I don't know what it is. Maybe there are things that we can explore to identify them. Maybe not. I don't know. But I know that they exist. They're sort of the invisible. They're sort of the invisible person. I honestly, this was a little bit daunting. It was a lot, and I need to say thanks, because I did send you a lot of questions, and every time I had a question, I sent it, and I texted a lot and called people a lot because I needed to truly understand what I was making a decision on. My first time around, I wasn't chair, so I was able to actually just listen and absorb. This time I wanted to understand every little bit, and you were very patient with me, and I do ask a lot of questions, but I'm a very curious guy when it comes to what is the good for this city, for this community, and everything was answered really expediently, which always helps me. It's really fun working with my colleagues, and it's great to have such a different a different commission, a different perspective from everyone. But now that you threw me off, thank you. What, Ruth? What?
That wasn't me. No, I had a question. Sorry, I was waiting patiently for you to read that. This is an unusual funding request in the sense that there's also requests for augmentation of the funding. So I am curious what role the commission should be playing in the next steps, moving it forward to council, what role staff should be playing. So if perhaps we could agendize for the next meeting a conversation around that, I would appreciate it.
Want to be too late by the time we have a meeting in September. Council will have already
Our meeting is
talked.
September what?
13th,
And council meeting is the 18th?
19th.
19th.
Pushing it pretty close.
So we can have an agenda item. This, it would be, obviously, it'll be a discussion. We'll be able to bring more information about how funding will be addressed. The director did give a partial answer to, some funding that has been identified to begin initially adding to the treatment pool of funds and to provide additional mental health services for the homeless. So we have an identified amount to get us started. We're going to continue to work with finance in the city to see if there's other funds available, and then look at, perhaps look at the budget at the mid-year. The mid-year for the, city budget comes, it's fiscal year, so it comes into December, January, the end of the first quarter of social services contracts. So we can, look at how can we, start this process, address the need as it's been identified, and then in an appropriate way, look at the city's budget. Are there any other opportunities at the mid-year?
I think it would be, it's important that the staff maybe can underline the fact that the commission wholeheartedly agrees with the path you've decided to take. Okay, and I'm really quite pleased with the fact that you're willing to take the path. I would have changed it a couple times, and you have already changed it a couple of times. So I'm just assuming that you will be able to, in the future, come back to us with more on how we can do this better and how we can get the council to move with us. But I think that we would like it underlined, that the commission definitely agrees with this and would like to see something happen.
Thank you.
May I add a comment? I think that this team of all of you have done an incredible job identifying within what is your responsibility, which is the $4.5 million, with the mind's eye on the true costs, the unspent or the unmet needs that will have dollars attached to them, and reporting those with some courage, I think. But also, we're following the council. We're not ahead of the council. If you were at the Saturday study session or heard about it, most of the time that was spent, of those 3 hours, was spent on homeless services and help for the mentally ill. And this team did a very strong job in that presentation. And their council is highly engaged in that, and they are following ways to address these issues, in working closely with also, which we don't have here, public safety. And the captain and public safety director were talked at length as well, and there's a lot of coordination that's going on. So I think the council will take the leadership role in this. I think your recommendations and your support of the idea of addressing the real dollars and that we have them because of the RFP process is new, phenomenal, and wonderful. And I want to say, I think that the reason we know more is not only the experience of the last year, but that RFP was really guiding, and people paid attention to responding to it, and it was very, very, very well crafted. It was a foundation piece that got this going. I caution myself that a $400,000 allocation for the next year has the implication of $1.2 million. That is in the bailiwick and budget responsibility of the council. So you've done your job in supporting us in communicating the overall costs, and then they'll have to take a good, hard look at this. And I think also we have to look at other kinds of resources. Staff was working, has had conversations with Cedars on what can relieve emergency room visits and mental health services is an answer towards that. So I think the topic is homelessness and addressing those services in a what do you call it, a consortium kind of collaborative way as well. For right now, everybody's got an A+. And thank you for the support around saying you support that we've communicated and are communicating the full amount. And I think this council has been in a strong leadership role in the homeless issue. They did take the unallocated public safety funds and have them go to services as well. And that's, again, it's a little bit disjointed in that we're not the Public Safety Commission, you all are the Human Services Commission. So you've got your piece on it. But I think that, again, you each have relationships with your council offices. You're highly informed. Staff will be communicating this as well, and has been to our senior management. And it's a process. And what is it, another month till it goes to council? 6 weeks. Yeah, and again, I can't emphasize how highly connected and concerned all 5 council members are to homeless services. And especially the most vulnerable, particularly for East Side response and all those things. Maybe what would help also is a public safety report to this commission on some of the homeless work, so that you are connected in formality with what they've been working on as well.
I'd like to adjourn this meeting, but I need to remember what the woman's name we're adjourning in. Jeff?
Muriel Schoikit.
Muriel Schoikit, we're adjourning in her name, in memory. And we will be our next, it says Tuesday, September 13th is our next meeting?
Correct.
All right, and then council is, I just want to say out loud?
It's also Monday, September 19th.
Council meeting will be Monday, September 19th, where this may or may not be approved.
Next meeting is back at City Hall.
Our next meeting is back at City Hall.
Back at City Hall.
Okay, so this commission will be meeting at 6 o'clock, September 13th, at the first floor community conference room at West Hollywood City Hall. That's 8300 Santa Monica Boulevard in WeHo. Thank you. Did we? Oh, it's all right. Adjourn? Do we really have?